Erev Shabbat Shalom and Erev Pesach Sameach. We're gearing up to enter into Shabbat, that is the first day of Pesach. And I want to speak about a strange, perhaps slightly strange topic. In fact, the expression that the sages use to describe these two biblical texts is vidui, confession. And normally we associate confession with Yom Kippurim, with the day in which we confess and hence are forgiven and renewed and reborn. And that's a very personal experience. But Pesach is bookended by two confessions. The first is called vidui bikurim. When the farmer in Israel, the Jewish people living in the land of Israel, each farmer would plant his or her crop, and as the fruits that the land of Israel get ready, the first fruits were brought to the temple, and when the farmer arrived in the temple, he would recite, "My father was a wandering Aramean who went down to Egypt, and there we suffered and we were freed and brought back to this land, and now, God, I bring forth my first fruits." And that's called vidui maaser. Vidui bikurim, the confession of the first fruit. And in fact, our sages, when they have to compose the Haggadah, the crux of the story of the Haggadah does not come from the book of Exodus that describes the Exodus, but rather it comes from the chapter in the end of the book of Deuteronomy, when Moses envisions coming his first fruits to the temple and saying, "I was once a slave, but now I'm a landowner. Look at my beautiful grapes. Look at my figs. Look at my dates. Look at the fruits that the land has brought forth. I've made it." And that's the text that we use to retell the story of the Exodus on the Seder night. And in fact, our sages understood that the message to say in each and every generation, we have to remember that we left Egypt, often is simplistically misunderstood to say, I imagine I was in a time machine and I'm going back 3,500 years to leave out of Egypt. But rather, b'chol dor v'dor, in each and every generation, I am leaving Egypt. I have my own place where I feel stuck, narrow, and imprisoned, and my own place of freedom. And the ability to have freedom comes from the image of the farmer expressing gratitude on the first fruits, on the success of his labors. Yesh sachar lefulatechnu, Hashem. There is reward for our effort. There's nothing more meaningful to work hard and to succeed. And that's in fact the message of the Seder night. But that's not the only vidui. Not every year, but twice in 7 years. This year in the Shemita year, as well as in the 4th year of the cycle. On the eve of the last day of Pesach, this year will be on Thursday afternoon, just before the 7th day of Pesach begins, we recite vidui, and the text is here in the link below. We recite vidui maaser, a text that is said for those who, in theory, for those who live in the land of Israel and separate off terumot and maasrot, but many sages suggest everyone should say this text. And it's a beautiful, moving text. It says, I've done everything I can. I've done all that I was commanded. I wasn't negligent. I didn't forget. I did the best I could. And now I turn to God with the request, Hishkifa me'ma'on kodshecha min hashamayim. Look down from your heavenly abode, v'orech et amcha, and bless your people Israel, v'eretz asher natata la, eretz zavat chalav u'dvash. And bless your people of Israel, the land that you gave them, the land flowing with milk and honey. And really, in essence, what this prayer is saying, what this vidui is saying, I did the best I could. And now, God, I want you to complete this process. I feel this year more than most, we come into Passover, each one of us with our own story, with our own challenges. I bless us that we can say the vidui with fullness, saying, I've done the best I can. And now I turn to you, Hashlem Zehabinyan, to complete this project, personally, communally, nationally. May it be a time of blessing and completion, rebirth, renewal, and freedom for all. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach.